Mixed and mastered on the R&G show. Yes, indeed, about to go live to New York City. Hold tight. Mic check. Evan Landez, are you on the line?
I am here, JM. How are you, buddy?
A little bit stressed. A few technical problems, as you would expect from a live show, but great to have you on the line, Evan, aka Groove Junkies. Listen, I've been playing some hot house classics from you guys. Over the last, should we say, like 10 years? And some of the ones that I've just had in the collection certainly been big-time classics. What would you say has been the key to your sound, Evan?
Just basically working with a brilliant collective of collaborators, and that includes some of the best musicians here in LA, fantastic singers, songwriters. Having an amazing staff, and I think that's really been the key to creating the Moho sound and the Groove Junkies sound.
So let's step back a bit from there, because you mentioned Moho. That's actually Morehouse Recordings. How long has that label been going for now?
We have been in existence since 2002. This May will actually be our 15-year anniversary.
And amongst all, sorry, carry on.
No, go ahead.
So amongst all the classics that you've had on Morehouse, because I think people are they're familiar with the Groove Junkies name or what have you, but probably not as familiar or understand that Groove Junkies is actually behind Morehouse. So what have been the key classic tracks that you've had out on the label?
Oh, wow. There's been quite a few, actually. I mean, in 15 years, we've put out a considerable amount of material. I would say it would have to start off with the very first single that we did back in 2002 called Inside My Soul, featuring Solomon Henderson. And, wow, there's so many. It's insane. I would say Oh Lord would be another one. Deeper, featuring Solara and Ray Beam. The singer on Oh Lord, by the way, was Zendaya, who is on our current single, Higher. There's been Dr. Feelgood, featuring Diane Carter. And most recently, there's Live Free and Dance featuring Lee Usher, T.C. Moses, who's been on a number of our tracks, Far Away being one of them. That's one of my favorites, Free Your Mind, So Damn Crazy. So there's been a bunch. I'm sure I'm missing and not mentioning, a bunch of them right now. But as you could imagine, in 15 years, there's a lot of material.
So where are you actually based? Your sound's coming out of, is it New York, or whereabouts are you actually based in the States?
I'm originally from New York, but I've been living in Los Angeles now since 1985. So this is home base.
And I know that Solara actually features pretty heavily in your releases. What's your relationship to Solara?
She happens to be my better half. We got married in 2000, so she is really quite important, as you could imagine, in this operation, and she's my better half. I forgot to mention that she was also on a couple of our, biggest tracks, Sunshine being one of them.
Indeed.
I did mention Deeper, and she is on, one of the latest singles that buzzing right now called Perception. But yeah.
Okay, so
she's the wifey.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I mean, to be honest, I've got a couple of questions in relation to some of the tracks that Solar has done, but just to, focus on the earlier years, you had a collaboration with the Sulfuric guys way back in, 2002, I believe.
Yeah, we started out in 2002, actually being distributed by Sulfuric, which really sort of set things off. That was the beginning, and we were distributed by them for, I would say, about 5 years, and we were putting vinyl out back in those days, and they formed, as everybody knows, Traxsource, and we were one of the first labels to sign on with Traxsource when things started to shift over to the digital format. But great outfit. They were very, very instrumental in giving us a leg up. I can't speak highly enough for everybody there, from the owners, Brian Tappert and Mark Pomeroy and Meg and Sheldon Prince and all the staff. They've all been just amazing to us.
Now, I suppose under the Traxsource umbrella, you clearly was able to get a lot of exposure and certainly a lot of work through there. Lots of remixes, including remixes for Frankie Knuckles.
Yeah, I mean, the very, the cool thing about linking up with the Sulfuric gang was that they already were very well known in this business and, had key connections all over the world in the dance community. So that really kind of gave us some instant credibility when we became the first label that they distributed. That being said, we had to deliver the goods. So, we came out of the box pretty strong with Inside My Soul, and then Gonna Get By with Indea, and then Deeper featuring Solar and Ray Beam. And, the tracks just kept moving from strength to strength. And I think that we slowly but surely started to get onto the radar for, with most of the big players in the industry. And one of them, as you mentioned, was, Frankie, God bless him, and, may he rest in peace. He was a big supporter and playing a lot of our stuff for, the first couple of years that we were, that the label came to fruition. And eventually, a friendship formed and the opportunity came about to remix a couple of his songs. And the first one was a track that he did with Nikki Richards called A Matter of Time. So we did that, and then we followed that up with I've Had Enough, and then did another one, Jamie Principle track called Because of Your Love. And throughout the process, we just, became very good friends, close allies. He invited us to play at his Def Mix residency in Ibiza a couple of times, and tragic that he's no longer with us, but Frankie is instrumental, and really one of the most instrumental and influential people in my career, and in a lot of others for that matter.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Now, I know that in 2009, Groove Junkies, as it was known, changed shape. Okay, so there was a change in the personnel. How did that affect? Okay, so what was that change, and how did that affect your direction, your musical direction, for example?
Well, I mean, it came about. It was sort of a slow, painful process. The last year or so that Parrish and I were together, the economy had really taken a major hit. This was right when the housing market crashed here, and the global economy was, falling apart. So it just became very challenging, for lack of a better word, to book us as a duo coming from the States.
Sure.
And as we all know, the money is really in touring and in gigs. You can still earn an honest living, selling music and so on. But, the money is really in gigs and touring. So when that started to slow down, we had to make some, tough decisions. And it just seemed to be, prudent at that time that we go our separate ways. And, we had a good run. We were probably together almost 7.5 years. But, everything, nothing lasts forever. Things change. And, we wished each other well. And I, just continued to move forward doing the Groove Junkie thing, which is something that I formed before I even met Parrish. And would you, obviously more help.
And would you, I mean, when you talk about Groove Junkies, just for the, for the sake of the viewers and the listeners, that your sound has a very sort of funk, groove-based sort of background, and certainly one that lends itself to sort of a live environment. Hence the fact that you're also quite popular with your whole live show. Where did that sort of the funk influence, where did that come from? I mean, was it something that was prevalent as you were sort of experiencing the music scene in the 70s and that? But what was a catalyst that sort of influenced your sound, that funky sound?
Well, I think that it was really a combination of things. Growing up in New York, being exposed to a vast, variety of music, and being a product of the 60s and the 70s, I came up during an era where, everything from Motown to the Philly sound to the British invasion to, jazz fusion. I mean, there's just so many, styles of music that I was exposed to, including all the jazz greats and the crooners that, my parents used to play, when I was just a little kid.
Were you ever involved in, were you, sorry to cut in, were you ever involved in DJing or anything at that time?
No. I mean, that was way before I cut my teeth as a DJ. I started spinning in 79.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is like 37 years ago, give or take.
Wow.
And, no, but I mean, before that, I was just a kid growing up in New York, and, I was a little hippie, little jock, running around New York with my lunatic friends and, getting into all kinds of trouble, but it was an amazing era, and we had a great time, and we were exposed to all kinds of music back then. So I think ultimately that's what helped form my musical palette. And then when I started DJing in '79, again, just being exposed to all kinds of great music, rare groove, disco, funk. It really was, something that just resonated with me. So, I would say that the one common thread that runs through most of my productions is the fact that it all has a little bit of soul. The funk is kind of something that, happens, just organically.
Sure.
But I think it's more about the soul of me than anything else. And, to kind of touch on what you were asking a few minutes ago, the sound has changed though, and it's gone from more of a live, organic sound to a more analog-y, synth-based sound. And that doesn't mean that I'm opposed to, working with musicians and, getting that kind of vibe going again on future projects. But for now, I'm definitely kind of feeling the direction that I'm going in, and, it feels good.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to some of your productions of late, I mean, you touched on Higher, you touched on Perception. There definitely seems to be a far more, shall I say, deeper, clubbier sound to Groove Junkies that wasn't there in the past. In the past, you're absolutely right. It was very, very soulful, and as a consequence, there was a lot of funk thrown in. So that soul funk with house combination, definitely was something that you would associate with Groove Junkies. But of late, certainly there really has been that sort of deep, almost techie in certain parts. Would you say that was a deliberate thing? Is that how you've seen it?
I'm not sure that it's been deliberate or just a natural evolution of my style and what I'm feeling. I still love the soulful live sounding stuff, don't get me wrong, but I do like some tech house. I do like deep house. I do like Afro house. I do like, stuff that's being played in the new disco genre.
Indeed.
So there's just, good music is really what it's all about, and it doesn't matter what subgenre of house music it is. And, I definitely can get a little bit, tougher with my style, and it feels just as natural as, the older stuff, But again, I think the common, denominator is that it's got to have some soul. And,
right.
I also try to, make. I'm trying to leave a little bit of a footprint. At least my contribution to society is I always try to tell a story, be creative with the storytelling, and be uplifting with the message I'm trying to deliver without beating people over the head with it. And, it's music that you can listen to and, evoke, that will evoke thought, but also want to make you move at the same time. So
there's definitely
where my head is at these days.
Indeed. There's definitely a message in Higher, isn't there? I mean, what would you say? What is the message that you are trying to portray, and do you think that you got that message across in Higher?
Well, Scott Kay and I, Scott is my fellow collaborator on the project. I would say that, and maybe this was not so much his intent, but my intent was to deliver something that I thought would be very timely with what's going on now in our society, with the recent shift in, the new administration and all the turmoil that's been going on, not just here.
You're talking about Donald Trump coming into power and stuff, yeah?
Yeah, I think that has, that had a little bit of influence on the direction of Higher, particularly the singing part that is beautifully executed by Indea. Was inspired the hook, and the spoken part, which is Barbara Ann Tier, is it's a little bit more kind of take from it what you will, kind of a thing. It will probably resonate with people differently depending on what they're going through in life. But it's really about not losing yourself, not losing your identity,
sure.
Coming sort of on in the overall scheme of life, and just trying to find your own identity. And that coupled with the singing message, it's sort of a little bit of a protest song of sorts, and one that is, basically encouraging people to lift each other and, help carry each other through this very, trying time.
Would you say, Evan, that the fact that of late a lot of the labels and production outfits like yourself are now not seeing your material being sort of distributed in the traditional vinyl format but in digital, what's been your take on that? I mean, is this something that you've embraced? Is this something that you think is a disadvantage to the scene and disadvantage to yourself?
Well, I mean, this has been sort of the norm now for many, many years. It's not like it's just happened, So I think that clearly it's a new day on, how people find music, how they curate their playlists, and, hopefully more people than not are supporting the industry,
right,
and buying it legitimately, and, it's not terribly expensive. It's only 99 cents on iTunes and $2.99 if you're really, an upfront DJ who wants the latest and the greatest. And it's affordable is the bottom line. And all we could do is hope that people are finding the music legitimately. And clearly it's changed the business model of running a record label. And if you're a recording artist, expectations are very different from where they were, even 7-8 years ago.
Sure.
Back then, when we were selling vinyl, there were, and mind you, this was sort of the tail end of the vinyl craze, and I'm aware that it's made a little bit of a resurgence amongst a specific group of people and collectors, but the vinyl industry, had its run, and I think that it is what it is now. Unfortunately, there's such a noisy playing field. There are so many labels, so many artists selling their music, which on the one hand is great. It gives everybody an opportunity, but on the other hand, it also kind of waters down the playing field and makes it that much more challenging for fans to find really good music. So
yeah, that's true.
The old adage that the cream will always rises to the top is not always true these days. Sometimes great projects just get lost in the shuffle. So that's kind of one of the unfortunate byproducts of where we're at right now. And I think that streaming music certainly is an area of contention for a lot of people. The revenue stream is not fantastic by any stretch of the imagination. So I think something needs to be tweaked in that department. But really at this point in time, I think putting music out as an artist is almost like you're doing it almost as a promotional tool to keep your face in the place, and with the ultimate goal of getting booked. I keep going back to that, but that's really where the majority of the money is right now for artists.
And evidently doing live shows. I mean, I know in the video footage we've got in the background for this interview, you've got Solara. I believe it's Solara on stage there. Is that something that's become key to, as you say, keeping yourself in there, keeping yourself in people's hearts and minds, certainly within the music industry?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so many, different ways to showcase your talent. Whether it's just doing a DJ set if you're a DJ, or doing a live PA if you're a singer, working with a DJ, or even, people that are, fortunate enough to have a band around them, whether it's like Louis Vega and the Elements of Life band or Tortured Soul. There's lots of configurations that are working. But it really, at the end of the day, it does come down to awareness and promotion and demand. You know, you have to, there has to be a demand to facilitate and budgets to facilitate doing anything live. I would love to see more of that, to be honest with you. I think it's a great opportunity, and you know, for the artists and also for the fans.
I've been looking forward
to see their favorite singers. You know.
Indeed.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, look, I mean, looking forward, say, I mean, at present, Groove Junkies and More House Recordings looks very, very busy. What's the forecast for the rest of the year? In terms of production, in terms of going live and what have you?
Yeah, we have a couple of new projects that are in mid-production. A little too early right now to speak about it. But the one project that will be dropping in May is a 15-year best of compilation.
Oh, fantastic!
Which is almost completed. There'll be 15 digitally remastered tracks that are our best sellers from the catalog, and there will also be a mixed version as well, and a couple of dates that will coincide with the release here in Los Angeles as well, to kind of honor the occasion. So, looking forward to dropping the compilation and also a couple of new singles. There's a collective project that we're working on right now that I'm very excited about, that will be, there'll be more information on that, but it's going to basically be an all-star group of producers and singers. And that's really all that I'm at liberty to say right now, unfortunately.
I was going to ask you who else can we expect on there, but I mean, just looking at the list of names that you've collaborated with in the past, it reads like the who's who of the underground house scene. I mean, the only name that's missing there is my own. So looking to fix that at some point. But listen, Evan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. I mean, just the few tracks that I've played, even just going through the track listing, there's always there's one or two tracks you come across and you think, oh, hang on a second, I wasn't actually aware that was a Groove Junkies track. So I've managed to pull those out in today's mix, and yeah, it's just the sound has really been it says something about the underground house scene over the decade. And certainly we look forward to that collaboration, Evan. Thank you so much for being on the show, man.
JM, it was my supreme pleasure, and continue to do what you're doing, man. You're a great ambassador to the scene, and you have my full support, brother.
Well, look, coming from yourself, that is indeed an honor. But really, the pleasure is playing great music, and you guys have, guys like yourself, DeMarcus, William Rodriguez. You work extremely hard to produce good material, good consistent material. So really, the onus is on people like myself to make sure that the rest of the community around the world gets that music out there. And that's what I'm going to be doing throughout the rest of the show. So I will be in touch with you shortly afterwards, my man. In the meantime, take care and enjoy the rest of the day.
All right, brother. God bless. Yes, indeed. There you had it, Evan Landez, all the way there from the United States.
excellent producer. And like I said, actually, I went through some, went searching through my track collection and found that there were some gems that I used to play in the UK that I had no idea were under the Groove Junkies banner. So sit tight, I've got more Groove Junkies in the MIX. This is Jimmy Masters with the weekly R&G, courtesy of the House Junkies. This is what we do, the HOUSC 24/7. Keep it locked. Sound of Perception in the background. Do apologise for all the fans of the weekly R&G artist showcase, and the House Junkies started half an hour late due to technical problems over here in Australia. I see new dimension. All part of live radio, yeah. Let go, where there's truth in my stride and nothing real. If you're actually watching this show, please remember to like and share. You need to make sure as many people get to hear good music as possible, and that only comes from you sharing. House Junkies 24/7. Let's go. Tears and confusion no longer have power on me. On me, on me, on perception. Oh, I'm just living for life. Perception, yes, I'm redemption. Personified perception. I embody the strength of a queen. Perception, and you can't. Perception.
feel good all the time. So happy, got me flying high now. To the rock, to the rock, to the rock. Addicted, addicted to the rock. Makes me happy. Makes my spirit run free. I'm addicted, addicted, addicted. Music makes me happy. I'm addicted, addicted, addicted. Makes my spirit run free. I'm addicted to the rock. Addicted to the rock.
Kind of a mass culture we live in, and it makes you look like something or act like something that you really aren't. You know, it's like a falseness. It's like a mass personality. I don't want to be a one dimension. I want to be me. I want to be human. I want to be in an atmosphere that is free, that is open, that is devoid of dictators telling you how to do your thing. Okay? We dress a certain way, we walk a certain way, we talk a certain way, we create a certain way, we paint a certain way, we make love a certain way. You know, all of these things we do in a different, unique, specific way that is personally ours. And we decided that it is time for us to take over our own lives and do it the way we know we want to do it, as opposed to having someone else continuously tell us how we're supposed to do something because they are viewing us through their eyes.
of the enemy. Racial oppression has divided us. Economic inequality has divided us. Political injustice has divided us. Status and position have divided us. Culture and class have divided us. These divisions have not brought healing to our land. These divisions have merely caused us to hate with a deeper hate. Distrust with a more cynical distrust. Destroy with a greater destruction. The condition of our land and country must now bring us to our knees. To our knees. To our knees. To our knees. There is a spiritual awakening happening throughout our nation. The spiritual awakening will only happen when we kneel to pray. Oh Lord, teach us how to pray. Oh Lord, teach us how to pray. Oh Lord, teach us to pray for deliverance from all emotional, mental, and substance abuse. Oh Lord, teach us how to pray. Teach us how to pray for peace in our nation. Oh Lord, teach us how to pray. Teach us how to pray for love, regardless of race, color, creed, or nationality. Oh Lord, teach us how to pray. Show us your will and your way. Oh Lord, give us your peace and your love. Oh Lord, hear our pain each and every day. Teach us how to pray, 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 how to pray. We just can't keep growing apart. Day by day by
Yeah, if you just climbed on board the sound of the House Junkies, and you've got the Groove Junkies Artist Showcase. We just had Ivan Landez on earlier. If you missed the interview, fear not, you can listen again and watch again once the show is over. You got myself, Jimothy Masters, at the helm, courtesy of the WEEKLYR&G, the weekly rhythm and groove. Touch of jazz. Let's go. R&B show. Yes, indeed. Yours truly, Jim Finn Masters, with this week's Artist Showcase featuring all things Groove Junkies, courtesy of the House Junkies. Track in the background features the man himself, the legendary Frankie Knuckles. Groove Junkies been in the business for a good part of 15 years, producing some of the genre's best funky housey tracks, without a doubt, coming all the way from the United States. Once again, if you just caught the show late, there is the recording which will be available just after the show. But don't forget, if you hit me up live now, please remember to share and like. About another 10 minutes left of tonight's show. Hope you've enjoyed it so far. Sorry to guys in the chat rooms, I didn't actually have enough time to log on, but I know you're out there, I can feel ya. So sending this one out to Ivan Landez and Solara. Hope you're picking up the show, man. Excellent, excellent interview. Look forward to speaking to you in the next few hours. one. Yes, indeed, gonna love you and leave you with this one.
Pain so deep in my bones.
Once again, I want to say a big special guest to my special thank you to my guest Evan Landers, Groove Junkies.
My bones.
Also want to say a big shout to Mr. Calabrese and everyone who was on the chat rooms today. I'm sorry I couldn't participate. Very busy with the show, and of course with the early tech problems. But as is always the case, it always works out in the end, doesn't it? You got myself, Jimmy Masters. I'm back again on Friday with a Friday night mix-up. Don't forget, after the show, this video will be available, and the interview, and we'll try and get this one up on the YouTube as well. Not sure who's up after me, but keep it locked to the House Junkies 24/7. HouseJunkies.tv. This is the weekly R&G.
No lies, no anger. I wanna believe it. Happiness is just around the bend. Happiness is just around the bend. Happiness is just around the bend. We will rise. We will rise above the storm now. Just know you're not alone. Jump on the ride. Take a ride with me. Ride with me. Take a ride with me. Just around the bend.
Jimmy Masters on the R&G show.